Can we pivot and talk about Greenland?
Okay, because I have questions.
I was so confused by these texts.
I have questions.
This is the wildest text to open up today.
I know.
Out of everything, I just
I saw your. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, let me read it real quick because this is. I was like, what is everyone talking about right now?
Eli opens his group text and it's just the three of us like this, and he's like, "What is happening?"
Greenland's important. Greenland isn't shit. You are so mistaken. I'll tell you later.
Bro, dude, wait. When do we do it next? You have this random stuff. You have kind of consensual. You have also, Rich, what did you mean about what I said about Greenland? I'm genuinely trying to understand the tactical significance. No hate. I know there's no hate. I'm just stirring the internet pot. My argument would be importance of naval port between U.S. and Europe earlier. And I'm like, what? And then Nick, Greenland was really important in World War II. And yeah, I was just like, my reply to all of this, oh yeah, when y'all want to film, question mark. Just, I'm like, what the fuck am I reading right now?
Hold on. And then go, you see the picture of Rich pointing? Eli?
Mm-hmm.
Go 2 text messages above and read those 2.
Oh, God. I don't remember what he said, but he was making fun of me.
Wait, Rich pointing. Wait, the video?
Ethan, we can talk about it on the podcast.
Oh, yep. We can talk about it on the podcast. I think it's a good topic. I do have some counters and I'm willing to be wrong. Just want to understand. Translation, bully me, daddy. Followed by Rich pointing. Oh, I love this group.
I'll just send that to Chase right now.
Yeah.
You'll need this for later.
Yeah. God damn it.
Dude, that sticker emoji that I made of myself, I use it constantly. And I have to say, that's probably one of the best uses I've had for it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so Ethan, tell us why Greenland isn't important whatsoever tactically, and then I'll tell you why you're wrong.
So when I'm looking at the importance of Greenland, I look at it from a couple of different perspectives. Number one, no one in the world on at least that side of the planet has the ability to push across the Atlantic and maintain logistic support of a fleet. So us power projecting up there, while we could have a naval base, we could have all this stuff. Number one, air defense in general, my branch is stretched incredibly thin. You would be asking for us to cover more bodies of land with even less troops. Secondly, given our sensor capabilities, you're looking at, for an ICBM or long-range ballistic missile, you're looking at, 7 to 20 minutes of flight time from Europe to the United States, even if it comes over the poles. That's an eternity in my world. So what I'm seeing is like, we'll have a place to maybe put our boats a little closer, but like if Russia was coming at us, they still got to come through all of our ports that we have our Navy at all over northeastern Europe. And then if we do take that chunk of land, now we have to protect it and we have to logistically support that chunk of land. So I'm trying to find out, like, okay, what is the benefit we gain aside from just having our boats and our planes a little bit closer, which is kind of a moot point. In World War II, totally agree with you, Nick. But now, our bombers can cover the planet. With refueling operations and things like that. So, that's where my brain was at looking at this.
So, you're thinking about, just ICBMs, which is going to be, the final escalation before we're fighting with sticks and stones again.
Okay.
Realistically, modern warfare is not going to come down to that. If shit heats up bad enough, the odds of us leaving all of our ports and everything over in Europe and fighting tooth and nail on that ground are not as high, especially if we had Greenland already set up, because once you have Greenland, you basically cut off the Atlantic and the entire northern hemisphere, and you own it.
I see Greenland as like a large lily pad to jump from either Europe to the United States or vice versa.
It also is big enough to function as a humongous staging area if shit hits the fan, because World War II, we're using England as a staging area. Now you have Greenland instead. You can't you're setting up air defense. They can't penetrate that way. If the enemy gets a hold of it, it's going to be a fucking nightmare to have to dig them
That
back
was my
out.
other point.
Now you're having another amphibious landing to take over land, so they can't have submarine warfare operations terrorizing all of your other supply lines. Like if you actually had, like what you said, like we have ports and everything over in Europe, but imagine if another force instead just completely focused by just fucking island hopped all those ports and went straight to Greenland, took it over. There's 60,000 people that live there with, I think Denmark has 3 destroyers that defend the entire thing. If they just island hopped all our ports and took over Greenland and just cut off all those supply lines, now half the Navy's fucked with no resupply. And you've just fucked up all of American war logistics right out of the gate.
That was my thing too, was logistics. Making logistics easier as like, once again, a lily pad from us to Europe and vice versa.
I can see it both ways there, because on the one hand, I do see what you guys are talking about, because no one does it better than Uncle Sam. Like, we're just better at it than everybody else. But I think the cheaper option would be to leverage Canada to build up their fucking force and be able to protect that. Because like we got Alaska, we got the lower 48 down here, we got the Pacific, we got a whole bunch of islands out there. But you're right, the Atlantic is relatively open. If Canada armed up a little bit better, they'd be able to cover that and it wouldn't cost us anything. But then that's also if Canada.
That's your strategy. Trust the Canadians.
They've done some.
They're not a fan of us.
They're not
now.
really a fan of us, but spite. You said it yourself. Spite makes things happen.
It's true.
I'm learning so much right now.
I'm not buying it.
I also don't think that it if we're gonna talk about naval power, right? I'm gonna compare you saying I'm gonna take what you said specifically, all right? Let's boost up Canada. So it takes like a couple years for a U.S. warship. What's the time for a U.S. warship, Nick? Do you remember? Isn't it like every 3 years we come out with one?
Probably something like that now. I know Liberty ships, we could crank them bitches out in World War II. I'm not sure like modern times. They're not.
So we're working on building a
shipbuilding
lot
right
of
now
ships
is
right
not-
now, though. They are.
Currently, the stats are like we're making like we're pushing out a new ship like every 3 years.
5 to 7 years for a supercarrier class.
That's a super carrier, but we've got there's other things.
Yeah, we
right?
got smaller ones. Supercarriers are what differentiate us from, like, in my opinion.
Everybody.
I think right now the big push is
Literally
frigates.
everybody.
We got like 90 frigates or something they're planning on building.
So when it comes to shipbuilding and manufacturing, China pops shit out like every 6 or 3 months, a new one. And so we and especially Canada can't keep up with those numbers, whether they're shitty or not, right? We can't keep up with those numbers, and and Canada definitely can't keep up with those numbers for China. So what, the next ship that we can get Canada, if it's Canadian made or whoever they use their shit from, is going to be at least as long as a United States ship. And like, does Canada even have a carrier?
No, they do not. That's fair.
The other aspect is you need Greenland for weather monitoring.
Elaborate. I'm unfamiliar. If you don't mind.
If you're fucking,
Well,
if you're,
the weather is what happens.
I
when
know
you go
that. I'm just saying,
outside.
what does that geographic location benefit?
when you have boats crossing the Atlantic Channel over to Europe for your supply lines, it's really beneficial to have like the best weather data possible to avoid storms or to know when and where to go and how to do certain things. So like even in World War II, once Germany took over Denmark, they never actually had like a significant force on Greenland, but one of the few things they did do is they had weather outposts on Greenland so that they can monitor the weather over the Atlantic so they know when and how and where to deploy their Wolfpack submarines to sink American Liberty ships to fuck up supply lines. So like weather monitoring is really important also.
Super important. I just pulled up sorry, I'm interrupting this. This is why I hate media. This is NBC News. China is working on an enormous aircraft carrier that will rival the biggest in the U.S. fleet, analysts say. Now, let me go to the next part. It already has the world's largest military. We're talking about China. And the new satellite imagery shows that China is developing a huge nuclear-powered aircraft carrier that would rival the biggest vessels in the American fleet. 5 analysts told NBC News. They don't have a single one yet. We have 11 super carriers. I did not know we had 11.
They have 3 carriers. The fourth one is in sea trials right now.
But they have 0 super carriers and none that can launch. So their new one, this one that is going to rival America's, can launch from fighter jets from 4 different platforms. Each one of ours can. So that's what a super carrier, what makes it fucking crazy, blah, blah, blah. Why are they saying China has the largest navy?
So
because technically they do. So here's this really cute thing that the news likes to do. They're like, China has fucking 3 times as many naval vessels as America, which is true. But when you want to actually like compute naval power, you have to do it by tonnage. You have to do it by the amount of water that Navy actually displaces to really get an understanding of how big the Navy is. You have to do it with volume, because what China's doing is they're cranking out fucking speedboats with 50 cals on top and being like, we've got 9,000 ships. And it's like, yeah, fuck yeah, but that's not really what we're talking about when we talk about naval. We're talking about like destroyers and frigates and fucking aircraft carriers.
Last time I
So
checked,
this is the idea of like, we have the world's the most weapons in the world for infantry soldiers. They're like bolt action rifles. Technically, you'd be like, yes, but they're fucking out of date and do not serve a purpose in an actual war in this modern time.
So something else that's big into China is China mandates that every new ship being built be built to naval military standards so that it can be a frigate or it can move military equipment. So every ship that comes out of China, even if it's commercial, is to naval warfare standards, built to naval warfare standards.
So they classify it as a naval, and then that ups their largest.
I don't know if that ups their numbers, right? What I'm saying is China's already preparing to be like, we take your ship and we make it into something better because we gonna try and take over Taiwan. You know, we're 30 ships short. Oh shit! How about we take our 50 billion ships that we have in fishing and shit because they already naval specifications.
That's what Germany did. That's what Germany did with the Volkswagen Bug.
Yeah. I will say, last time I read the numbers, and this is just off the top of my head, because I have the TISM, the Chinese Navy had 800,000 tons total of displacement, which is a lot, until you realize the U.S. Navy had 3.4 million tons of displacement.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whap, whap.